Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky, the Bash edition.
And today we are talking about how you can start trying to soften your experience of grief and loss.
Yeah.
This seems like a heavy one, but honestly what we're trying to do is raise the vibration, your consciousness, your awareness, your perspective around grief and loss to help you in life.
Yeah.
I think we just leave it there.
Yeah.
Because this whole episode is come about in a synchronistic way anyway, hasn't it? Due to personal circumstances on both of our sides. And we just felt like it was the right time to share it. And we really hope that this message reaches the people that it needs to reach. And that's not necessarily if you are experiencing grief or loss now, because this is going to be helpful. Inevitably, we're all going to experience grief and loss. If you can hear this now, even when you're not in a place of grief, it might help you. It might be just the thing that you need to refer back to, or your subconscious mind can refer back to when you actually need it.
Definitely.
And actually, the way this episode went, it encompassed way more than just grief, didn't it? It was more about how to live your life in a more positive, enjoyable way by accepting the fact that there is grief and loss, and that inevitably you are going to experience it, but the perspective shifts and the understandings behind makes, like we said, softening that, not stopping the feelings of grief. You will never do that, and we don't want you to, but just softening the loss of it.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Leave it at that. We hope you can enjoy this and it helps you.
Take what you need from it.
Thanks, guys. We just wanted to pop on before we get started on our episode to ask you if you would mind, if you haven't done so already, please could you rate and review our podcast? If you're not already, could you make sure that you're following us on Spotify, Apple, or any podcast player that you listen to us on, so you can make sure that you get notified every week when a new episode comes out. You never know when you might need to hear it. It could be perfect timing. And also, don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube as well. And if you watch us over there, don't forget to subscribe. Again, you'll get notified with all the new and latest episodes.
And also, don't forget to share with all your friends.
Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate all your support. We appreciate you listening to us every week. Thank you so much.
You.
And today, though you might not be, it doesn't seem to make sense with the way we're talking in our voices, we are actually talking about grief.
Yeah.
But
Need to
start as we... No, Rebecca. Start as we mean to go on.
Yes.
Because let's just dive right into that, because we've just done it, haven't we? What we're talking about today is a way that you can soften your experience of grief. How do you do that? What is that? What are you talking about, girls? Chill out. You made me say. Okay. I also want to say, because we've just flown right into it, I've had more than my fair share of grief. And people that are listening to this podcast, people that know us, know that. I'm not saying this to defend myself, because I don't feel like I need to defend myself in any way. But I do want to say that I have the utmost respect. I'm talking from, we will both be talking from a place of utmost understanding, compassion, and respect for your experience of grief and of loss. And believe me, I have felt that so deeply. But what I really want people to get from this episode is an understanding that though grief will always be hard, and it will never not hurt. It doesn't have to be as heavy.
No.
Or as much of an experience of suffering as we think it may be. And as a lot of us have experienced or may still experience. So our hope in recording this podcast, and the reason that we're keeping it upbeat, is because, again, I think going back to we talk about programming and conditioning, and a lot of time we have been programmed in our recent societies that death is something to be feared. Yeah. It's something to be, that is gloom and doom and all of the things that we all kind of come to link with grief and death and loss. But actually, you know, in ancient civilizations, and I think maybe is still some kind of sects of people now, death is celebration. Yeah. Because when you understand it from the perspective that we obviously speak about on this podcast, and especially most recently with these recent season 3 editions, I'm talking about the bigger concept of this is just a kind of an illusion, a game, a construct, and death isn't actually loss forever. It's just, like I like to say, it's just taking your coat off and stepping into another room. You know, when you have that understanding, it makes sense that death could be a celebration. Yeah, it does. When you have the understanding that when you do that, you go home. Yeah. You go back to this place that is filled with love. This place that where you came from, the place of remembrance, where you remember who you are, and you get lifted out from this dense, hard, heavy reality that we chose to be in, but nevertheless hard reality. Why then would you be sad? Yeah. Because for that person, they've gone home. Yeah. Their experience is so much more different than maybe what we've been programmed to believe, which is they've you know, either gone to depending on where your belief constructs are, they've gone to hell, or they've gone to this, like, you know, random place called heaven that you can only just imagine what it is, or they're in purgatory, or, you know, they just fail to exist at all. Yeah. Obviously, when you have that kind of belief system, you can see why death would be a lot harder to deal with. Again, I want to really clearly state that none of us know what truly happens when we die, really. And so this is our beliefs. Yeah. And there is absolutely no way that we are trying to force our beliefs on anyone or state that what we are saying is absolutely correct ever. Like, that's a given with anything we talk about in the podcast, isn't it? Yeah. But this is an offering. If you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously already kind of looking and interested and curious along the lines of this not being the only reality, and that there is obviously much bigger things going on in an unseen place. If you're obviously open to that, what this is supposed to be is just a perspective reframe. Yeah. As I always like to give, no matter what we're talking about, another way to see things, another perspective to look at things, and be open to. Not to say, yes, this is exactly how it is and this is the rigid structure of what it looks like. No, just to be open. Because at the end of the day, what I always come back to, which is directly come from the experience of that I've had of doing the work that I've done in terms of the subconscious mind and the hypnotherapy side of my business, is that I am very, very clearly aware this is something that I don't have any kind of shadow of a doubt in at all. And I would hesitate to say this is the absolute truth, is that we create how we experience this world through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our perspectives. Yeah. And I also know that a belief doesn't have to be the truth. Yeah. And so what I always try and do for myself on an everyday basis, and help my clients to do as well, is manipulate our beliefs. And manipulate's got a really bad negative context to it, but let me explain what I mean when I say manipulate. Okay, let's not say manipulate, let's say curate. Okay. That's a nicer word for people. Yeah. We can curate our beliefs. We can create what our truths are so that we can directly affect and control and create our own experiences and feelings in this world to be more positive or more negative. We can do either, and we get to choose to do the positive one. Does that make sense? I feel like I've rambled there.
No,
So I'm saying that because this podcast is just that. It's a way for us to say, here we go. This is a perspective reframe on death and loss and grief. And this is how you could choose to see it if you so wish, if you are open, if it resonates with you, so that your experience of grief and loss can be softened. You can learn from it. You can use it as a teacher. You can use it as a propelment. It's not a word, but you know what I mean? Forward. That's something that I did with my mum. When I lost my mum, it was an absolute propel into a complete new version of me. And when I say a new version of me, the original true version of me, uncovering part of that anyway. I'm not there yet, but you know, so we can again, it's about curating how our perspectives, our beliefs, so that they help us, so that they are positive and they actually help us to thrive rather than suffer. So that's what this is. And the reason that we're doing it now is because we have both, from the point of this recording, it's actually like mid-January right now, isn't it? We've both just had 2 losses in 2 very different losses, but nevertheless exactly the same, because a loss is a loss, and we'll go into that, in the same week. Last week. So it's very relevant to us. And it just felt like it needed this. We always flow with the podcast, don't we? And we go with whatever our experiences. We always base these things that we talk about on our own personal experiences, because we're not just talking other people's words. We're not just talking things that we read in books. We're talking from our personal experiences. And we've been doing this long enough now. We're in our 6th year, aren't we? Where we've been trialing and erroring and living by experience for a good amount of time now. And we have seen absolute changes in the way that we are experiencing our life for the better. Because of the things that we're going to talk about in this episode, specifically related to loss and grief.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Because the sadness is the same, isn't it? Like the loss, that the pain of the loss is the same. You can't take that away, but what you can do is become more aware of the magic or light that's happening around you because of this loss. And I think sometimes, like, because everything's so dark and sad and heavy, we just go down that hole, don't we? And it's hard to come out of that. Also, if you're not aware of things, like all the things that we speak about, it really helps if you are aware of these things and you can pay attention. And just like you say, with the softening of this experience can really help, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Should we put it into context? So I suppose, first of all, we need to say, most people that listen to this podcast, most people that know me, know that I lost mum in 2020. That sparked this whole kind of spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, the remembrance of the openness to the unseen world, and the fact that everything isn't as we've been kind of told, then reality is not really what we believe it to be. And most importantly, we have so much more power and control in our lives than we ever could imagine, or and whether we realize. So that's where this journey all started. So important to say, when I lost mum, I was not in this world. I did not have these beliefs, and I was very much you die, you disappear into existence. You disappear. You just don't. You fail to exist.
Really?
And that's how I've said in some of my podcast interviews, when people ask me how I got into this, I've said this so many times, but that was the turning point for me. When, like, a day after or 2 days after mum had died, I literally remember where I was, and I said, I cannot continue living if I believe that my mum's just disappeared and she doesn't exist in some kind of way. And I literally felt my brain rewire. I cannot explain to you any other way than I felt my brain rewire. I felt something click open by saying that it's like a command. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was basically a command. Like, I will not live in this world. I'm not saying that I wanted to do anything. I just mean it was just raw.
Yeah.
It was an absolute command from my soul. I will not carry on if I have to believe that she doesn't exist. And it was like it flung a door open wide that had been tightly locked shut from a little girl. It flung it open and then allowed everything to come in. And that moment taught me so much. But one thing that it really did teach me was that when you're looking for answers, when you're on this spiritual journey and when you're searching, questions are so important. It's the questions that are more important than the answers, because that one, now it wasn't necessarily a question. I didn't say, show me how, but effectively that command was a question saying, show me how my mum can still exist. But it was more powerful than a question because it was a command. In my energy. I wasn't sat, I could sit here now and go, right, I command you show me the truth of reality right now. It doesn't have the same feeling to it. It was a raw, desperate feeling that precisely directly came from the loss, from the grief of losing my mum. And this is why people say that grief is the biggest teacher. I cannot agree with that anymore. It's a massive teacher, and it's a huge transmuter and like shifter. It's an alchemist, like all the words. It is that, because it takes you from just saying things to like I said, a shift. That day when I felt that shift in my mind, in my energy, it wasn't something I chose. It was something I just was. So I went off as always, I went off in a bit of a tangent there, but I think that's a really important point for grief, because let's face it, this episode we're talking about grief and loss, right? So everything that we're talking about today has, like I said, come from our journey. It's come from 6 years of living and experiencing this, and not just about grief, but of everything we've kind of dived into in this whole awakening journey. And I'm talking about the mindset stuff as well, because it's all part of it. It all feeds into the same thing, and we couldn't have got here had we not been open to all of that stuff, because everything points to life not, or consciousness not ending when our physical body dies. And it's been pointed to that in so many ways. But not only that, it's also all the emotion stuff, all the somatic stuff that I've learned, all the nervous system stuff, all the mindset work, the reframing, the shifting, the opening up your mind to be open to the fact that there's other factors at play, that we are more powerful than we are. Like, all of these things has all directly played into us getting to a point where we can feel the way we feel now, and we're just about to explain about us experiencing grief. I really want to make that clear. It's not about us just sitting here saying to you, grief doesn't have to be hard. Like, it can be soft. Like, that's not gonna work. You have to use this from a bigger picture. But this is a huge picture, right? Because let's face it, we all know that we're going to die. We all know that we're going to die, and we all know that we're going to have people around us that die. We're going to experience loss and grief. We will never get away from that unless you live on a planet on your own. Then you're still going to die. But so it's something that we really need to have acceptance around, because how awful, like, that we are living, and we've spoken about fear of death a lot of the times before, but how awful is it that we are living our whole life, pretty much from early childhood, fearing the inevitable that we know is going to happen to us. And on a subconscious level and on a conscious level, we are living this life that we've chosen to live with an absolute fear of what we already know is going to happen. That's sad. It's really sad, isn't it? And also, if I've seen nothing from doing the subconscious mindset work, like I said, the past life regressions, where we're working on these deeper fears, and this absolute fear of death holds the key to everything. Because when, I've said this loads of times, but whenever I get down to, one of the things I'm good at is seeing through people's limiting beliefs, seeing through their fears and their subconscious blocks, etc. It doesn't matter what fear they have and how it manifests in their life, you can always dig it back down to a fear of death, and that's a very unconscious fear. So you are not aware of it in your everyday life. When you're living it, you are absolutely unaware that it actually on a really unconscious level you're scared of dying or death. But that's the case. So another reason why I'm really, really keen to talk about this kind of subject, which can upset people and can sometimes feel insensitive to people, the reason I'm doing it is because I know how it will affect you living your everyday life as well. It's not just waiting for when you're going to lose someone and you're going to experience grief. This will directly help you in actually living. The irony of it, like, you accept death and loss, it will make you live more. And that's so important as well, because death and loss is like, it's once, like I said, it's inevitable, it's going to happen, and it happens in an instant. But life is happening over because we're affected by time, it's happening over a long period of time. You're spending more time in life than you actually do in death. And when you lose someone, because even when you lose someone, you're still living, because you're left living. That's the tough part, right? They've gone and you're still having to live.
That's so true. And we're just ruled by this fear of death, aren't we? From the moment we can understand what that is. Because that is always the ultimate, isn't it? They're like, when people say, well, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, well, I could die. We're not going to die, so at this time. But that is how we're living our life. Will that kill me? Am I going to die? And if you can drop the fear of death, oh gosh, that's
it's huge. Well, like we said before, you experienced that, and the first past life regression, I did for you. I know you don't have a huge memory of it, but it was all surrounding your fear of death. And most specifically, which is actually really, really relevant for this podcast, the topic of this podcast, is in your life, you had a lot of loss, didn't you? Remember, so you're a woman, and you had a lot of loss.
I think I lost like my husband and my sons, or something like the whole family.
Pretty much the whole family. You got left, and that lifetime you spent so sad because you thought you were never going to be happy again. You had so much grief in that lifetime that we processed through. But then after that, you lost your dad, didn't you? You lost your dad as well. Because it was back a long time ago, so it was battles and stuff like that.
I was like in a mud hut.
But then you lived so much of your life in sadness and sorrow and grief for the loss and fear. But then you met a new you met a new person, didn't you? And you had a new family, and you experienced love and what that life showed you. And it doesn't just show you in a past life regression, does it? You feel it. Again, it's one of those things that changes your energy, like just instantly. You were like, oh my God, you can have love after loss. You can continue living, and not only continue living, but enjoy living and thrive after loss. And that was so powerful. That was one of that was back 5-6 years ago we did that. But that was the start of something for you, wasn't it?
Honestly, that was a huge help in me dropping that fear of death. Again, as everything you said is just like the ultimate cracking the code of life, isn't it? If you can drop that. And that really, really helped me, because I was so scared to lose, anybody. Like, I would just cry as a little girl in my bed at night, just at the thought of my parents dying. Like, how sad is that? Well, like you say, that's not living, is it? You don't want to be doing that as a little girl. You want to be carefree and not have those worries. And, it's not even happened yet. I'm very, very lucky. It's not happened. But you don't want to live. But how are you enjoying them if you're so terrified that they could die any minute?
Exactly. And this comes back to what we were speaking about in last week's episode, where I was rabbiting on about being in the present moment, like not we're all, the power of now. Like, that goes back to that. Like, there you were living in the future, worrying about your losing your parents. Now, again, we know it's inevitable. You will. It's going to happen. But when you're projecting in the future, you're not living, because you are only really living when you're in the now. And in the now moment, when you realize you are actually always safe, you always do feel safe. You always feel okay in the now moment, because, a great example of this is you could fear losing your mum, like your mum or your dad dying. But in the moment, if your mum suddenly cut her leg open and started bleeding out, I can guarantee you in the moment, you wouldn't have any of that You know, like, oh God, well, you would just be in action.
Yeah.
You would do it. You don't have to, in the present moment, you are just following your steps, and you would get something and tighten the bleeding. You phone 999, Do you know what I mean? You would be in control because you are in the absolute present moment now there. Our problem is that when we like go up into the future, it's not real.
No.
So we can't, and I say it's not real, it's not, but it is also very real, because remember, we are creators in our minds, and we create feelings. Our subconscious doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is not. So you are living it as it is real. So you are actually creating the pain and the torment by living in the future of your mum and dad dying, of actually the loss of them.
Yeah.
And this is what we do as humans. We do that. We also go back to the past, and we do the exact same thing with the past, which is why you can understand when people always say, oh, we have to be in the present moment. You know, that's why. Yeah. It's why, because actually in the present moment, you are always okay.
Yes.
And you're in touch with your intuition in your present moment.
Something changes, doesn't it? When you're, you know, in an emergency, like you've just described, something similar to that, something just takes over you, and you are the most present you can ever be, I feel. Just going back to situations that I've been in, you are just there, nowhere else.
Exactly.
And that's what we need to, if we could get that, master that in life as well, bringing that to, you know, like just us sitting here now. This is it.
Well, that's why I love the podcast, because I'm so in the present moment when we're doing the podcast. It's awesome. And also it's why I can channel information through.
That's right.
Because I'm not thinking, I'm not judging, I'm not thinking, I'm here with you, with the audience.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's
you
just
can receive.
flowing. And that is, honestly, it's almost a bit addictive.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get back in there. I realize, and I do it with my clients as well. When I'm channeling stuff for my clients, you know, I'm like, I want the client to come on. Where's the next message coming from? Because I like being in that. Now that's a lesson for me, because I'm like, well, I don't need to be in the podcast. I don't need to be helping my clients to be in that zone. I can be in the present moment whenever I want. That's my work. Because I'm other than that, I'm in the future. I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Oh, what if that doesn't work? Oh, that's, you know, so it's a lesson for me anyway. I feel like we've drifted off, but it's all relevant.
It is.
Because like we said, this whole concept of death and grief and loss isn't just focused on the actual point of loss and grief. It's about living. And I think that's really, really important. So to go back to what I said, so obviously I lost my mum in 2020. That grief was what I would say is grief, as a lot of people would experience it if you haven't gone through grief with this spiritual view. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is I understand the experience of grief, not having this belief in the unseen wildlife after death, consciousness continuing, etc., etc. And it was a shock. I will say that then going into the spiritual world absolutely helped me in my grief journey immensely. I wish that everybody who went through loss, if they're not already spiritually kind of aware or open, or, you know, I wish that everybody could have that. Because I remember sitting there in my grief a bit further down, thinking, thank God I have found this, because I don't know how I would have coped with the grief. Now, don't get me wrong, and this is what we really want to speak about. Did I experience the pain of grief? Oh, God, did I? But
that doesn't change.
It doesn't change. And actually, it really helped me. It helped me feel into and process that grief in a better way, I believe. In a better way. I've had a lot of loss in my life, actually. I had a lot of early loss as a childhood. So death isn't something new to me. But when it's your mum, it is different. It is a different level. But so what it did for me when I was grieving my mum, having this a bit later, having this spiritual awareness, and I'm not just talking about life after death, actually. I'm also talking about, it got me in touch with my intuition without me knowing that that's what was happening.
Right.
So again, I don't know, it changed me. It did. I can't say anything apart from it changed me. And I knew intuitively, when I say knew, I knew intuitively, knowing when we talk about knowing, so I get a lot of, like, they call it clear cognizance. It's a knowing. I've always had that from a child. I've always known that I've had that, actually, but I've negated it. I put it down, like, because it's just like, how can you know that? You can't. But when I say knowing, the knowing that I'm talking about is not a knowing in here. It's a knowing in every part of you. It's like a part. It's a felt knowing. It's not a thought knowing. If that makes sense. It's like you can know that 2 + 2 is 5. That's a knowing. This knowing I'm talking about is a feeling. That's your intuition, and it absolutely got me back in touch with that. With that knowing, and I knew intuitively what I had to do, how to process, like, my grief for Mum. And that, you know I've done a program, we've done a podcast episode on the whole losing my mum and the grief, but what I didn't mention, and it really annoyed me afterwards, I didn't mention something that I found really, really important when I was going through grief with my mum, and this was an intuitive thing, was that I know you know this, there was something in me that was like, these feelings are so big and they are so huge, these emotions, this what we call grief, that if I don't address them and if I don't feel them, it's going to break me. And I didn't know how. I just thought, it's not going to be good if I plug these down, because I was a pusher downer. I was a compartmentalizer. And this is again what I'm saying, like, the grief led me not just to my spiritual awakening, but to the awakening, which is actually all part of it, but to the awakening of all the stuff I talk about as a hypnotherapist, as a mindset coach, as a subconscious mind expert. I already knew it. I was already intuitively, which is why when I learned it, I was like, oh, this is like a remembrance, because I already knew. But I knew that it had to be processed. These emotions had to be processed. And so what I would do is I would get my mum's stuff. So I had her bag, I had her hospital bag that had all the bits in from the night she died, down to her crossword book that had the pencil in the page where she had closed it, just literally like moments before she had dropped down dead. That's what. Sorry. Sorry. But I know it's because you know what I was feeling, you know the pain that I was in, and this is important. Like, this is important because we aren't negating the pain. Like, it was felt so deeply. You were there. You were with me every step of the way. And I know that's like quite graphic, but I would get that out, and I would directly be transported to, I'm a very visual person as well, so I'd be directly transported to my mum putting that pencil in her crossword, and the crossword, the puzzler thing, she always did them, so that was a very much, certain things remind you of people, and they give you that feeling, don't they? Because it is all very much about being in your feelings. When I was in grief, like when you're in grief, you are absolutely in your feelings so much more, and that's a shock because we don't live in our feelings ordinarily. The average person, we're very much in our heads, aren't we? And we push our feelings away because we don't want to be in our feelings. And grief is one of those things, and loss, that gets you right in there. You cannot avoid it because they're right at the surface. And so the puzzler really brought up the feelings for my mum, but then obviously I would be there, I would see her putting the pencil in there, and then going off to the toilet and then saying, oh, I don't feel very well. It was, and then what happened next, which wasn't very nice. And I had all of that, and you might think, God, you're a masochist, Tash. Why would you? Because then I would have visions in my mind of how my mum died, and I would see it, and I'm saying this for a reason, because ordinarily, and maybe a lot of people would not think that. They would say, why would you encourage that feeling? Why would you bring that on? Like, why would you go so deep into it? I would just want to shut it away. And this is what I'm saying, don't, if you can, don't. Again, never telling you what to do, never ever telling you what to do, and this is from my personal experience. But I now see what I did. I know it worked. I also now know what I was doing from a absolute subconscious mind, emotional, energy, body point of view, which I had no idea of at the time. But now I know exactly what I was doing, and it's what I try and help people to do on an everyday level. Why would you not do it in grief as well? So I'm not telling you what to do, and if it doesn't feel right to you, please don't do it. But what I will say is that if you can, and if you're open to it, if you're going through grief, or when you're going through grief, please remember my words. if you feel that like you need to push it away, try not to. So what I did was I would get that puzzler out, I would sit on my bedroom floor with her stuff in, and I would just cry, like that raw primal cry. I felt like my chest was going to explode from the pain, the grief. Like, grief is very much felt here around your heart, isn't it? And that's really important to say, because something that I learned is that grief is directly related to love. Like, the feeling of grief is actually the same emotion as love, but on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Because you cannot have grief without love. And because I made myself feel those emotions, I made myself sit with it, and I have to be honest, I had no other choice. It was like my body was just went, you are doing this. It was like my soul just said, you are doing this now. So it's part of your like initiation or whatever. And I just did it. And I would like, the moans that I made, the pain that I felt. And I would go through it, and Chris used to come into the bedroom and go, why are you doing this to yourself again, Tash? Stop it, put it away. He would try and take it off me, and I was like, no, leave me alone. I need to do this. Just let me do it. And it hurt so much. I cannot tell you how much it hurt. But after I had done it, I felt a bit lighter. I felt like I was just like, I don't know how, but I feel better.
Right.
It gave me a bit of release. That is all I can say. It gave me some release. And I would do that whenever I felt like, I did it every day. Sometimes I did it more than every day. I was completely led by what my body needed or what I felt like I needed to do.
Yeah.
And every time I did it, I felt a little bit better. And at the time, like in the very early stages, I couldn't have said that overall, like, oh, this is getting better. I was just so in it. It was so heavy. I was just getting relief for the moment. You know, it was giving me relief for minutes.
Yeah.
But as I kept doing it, I started to realize that I'm not growling as much.
Right.
I'm not feeling the pain as much.
Yeah.
It's not coming as easily. It's not there on the surface. And then I would notice that I don't feel like I need to do it today. Or no, I don't need to do that. And I can't tell you when it stopped.
No.
But what I do remember is one day I just put that thing away and I never got that puzzler out again. And that's such a huge thing that stands out to me in my mind. And it's something that I wish for everyone, that they could do that they could be brave enough to feel their emotions and not be scared, not fear those heavy emotions, because they won't kill you. It was pain like no other. But like I said, whilst I was feeling that pain, I also became, because we don't let ourselves sit in the pain and we don't let ourselves sit in those heavy emotions for long enough. But by allowing myself to sit in those heavy emotions, that grief, what I did realize was that there's love here. I can feel love. And that was a comfort.
Yeah.
So it was a really weird experience, because I was feeling this absolute grief, but at the same time I was feeling this just pure love. And then came gratitude, because I became so grateful that I had that love and that I had experienced that love. And how grateful am I that I got to have it, because I could have never known this. I might never have known this. And how lucky am I? And as the time was going on, I felt the balance tip a bit more, like less grief, more love. And that's why, you know, when you lose someone, some people, like, you just think, oh, I can't even look at their photo.
Yeah.
Or I can't even, you know, go to that place or whatever, because it hurts too much. But when you start allowing yourself to feel the feelings, like you go to that place, or you look at the photo, or you look at the puzzler with the pencil in and you bring up those emotions, you start realizing that you can focus more on the love of them rather than the loss.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that happens straight away, but the direct result of doing what I've just explained is that, you know, when you think when you lose someone and you're like, oh, I can't even think about them, it hurts too much. It's the transition between that and then thinking of them and smiling and wanting to think about them and feeling all that love flood you. That's where that's where you can start releasing the pain of when you think of someone, and you can transmute it. Like I said, death's a great transmuter. You transmute that pain into love. That's really important. I know that was a really long and probably over too much information, I don't know, like of what I experienced, but the reason I'm saying that is because that's the underlying point. From doing that, I realized that grief is love. Grief and love are the same, just different spectrums, different ends of the spectrum, as is life. Everything, light and dark, it's all the same. We just got different spectrums, like so
is your mind very much in charge in the early stages? So that feeling of grief, which is also the same feeling of love, is it because your mind is telling you in the early stages, when you feel the heavy grief, that you are sad, you are all the negative emotions, but then once you've gone through that whole process you've just explained, you are rewiring your brain to go more to the love. So then your brain it's the same feeling in your chest and your heart, but your brain's telling you to look for the good or the love or the positivity.
It's a perspective,
a bit like the excitement in your stomach.
Anxiety.
It's exactly the same feeling as anxiety, but your brain is telling you it's something else. Yeah.
Is exactly right. And we've used the anxiety and excitement one since the beginning, haven't we? Because we realized that quite early on, and I still use that now. If I'm starting to get anxious about doing something, I'm like, I'm just going to shift this to excitement. And it's really quite easy to do once you practice it. But yes, grief and love, the exact same thing. And it's about the perspective shift, and it's about your focus. And this is what I'm saying. All of this stuff comes down to way, way, way more than just accepting that life continues after death. It's having an understanding of yourself, your body, your energy field, the way you work, who you are, so that you are able to start doing all the things and seeing yourself in another way, as well as not just seeing death in another way, if that makes sense. There's so much. Again, like I said, I learned so much from that grief that has helped me doing all of this. And all the work that I do with my clients now and all the people that I've helped, it's directly, so much of it has come from loss and grief. And it does take practice, it takes openness, it takes bravery and courage, as does all of this kind of stuff, because you're going against your protective system, like your ego, and obviously all the conditioning, the things that we've been taught to believe. So that emotion side of things, like feeling, allowing the emotions like to be felt and feeling, was a separate part of the puzzle than me. What at the same time, what I was doing, which was exploring life after death and the fact that my mum might still be there. It's two different things, but then they come together, right? But obviously we can't not talk about that as well. The fact that, having this belief that life continues after death. Now, again, I completely believe the opposite, but in asking that, sending that command out into the world, effectively asking that question, showed me, God, did I see signs?
That you may not have seen.
I wouldn't have allowed it in.
No.
Because it's all still there. And this was another thing that really helped me in my grief. When my mum was, making all sorts of things happen. We've spoken about this before. We don't need to speak about it again. But all the things that she did, that was comforting. In my
and
grief.
Your evidence.
We
like to see the evidence, don't we? That's not you just wishing, hoping. You've seen it now. So everybody's free to choose whatever they want to believe. But once you've seen it and you're open to see it, how can you unsee it? I do know a few people that try and unsee it.
And that's okay.
That's fine.
It's all right, isn't
Honestly,
it? But you've got to just be, like you said, it's the openness is the most important thing. Because if you're not open to it, it can't come in. Again, think about what I said with, like, I cannot live in this world if my mum doesn't exist. Basically show me that she does. that question. Always come back to that. What do you want to art? Like, what do you want to see? What do you want to be shown? As soon as you do that, it like opens up a gateway, it opens up a doorway, and I promise you will see it. Now, skeptics could say, oh yeah, well, that's confirmation bias. Yeah, you will. You always see what you want to see.
Right.
Yes. Correct. Use that then, because it goes back to what I said right in the beginning. You can curate your reality, create it so that it is like a pleasurable experience for you to live on this earth. So what if it's not real? So what if we do like fade into inexistence after this? At least we'll be living our lives feeling comforted rather than scared. Now, for me, I have absolutely no doubt after 6 years of doing this that we are going somewhere beautiful after this. And again, I suppose this is a good point to say, we say it all the time, listening to near-death experiences is the best way, I think, to start opening, if you're really trying to solidify that belief. If you want to believe this, if you want to believe your loved ones are still there and they still exist in some way, go listen to near-death experiences, because that was a huge part in my grief journey, listening to that. It gave me so much comfort, and obviously led on to much, much greater things for me, rather than just like, helping me with my grief. But like we said, we've had people who have had near-death experiences on this show. We've got more coming up. There's so many out there on YouTube, or podcasts, like, go look, because they're just beautiful, and they all say the same thing. They have different experiences, but they're all saying the same thing, and there's absolute themes. And then I've obviously confirmed that with the experiences that people have had on the QHHT sessions. So, definitely, if you want to solidify your belief in life after death, go look at them. Because I feel like God, it's been 43 minutes, Louise. This is not where I thought it was going to go. Let's just really, really quickly then, like, ending it, let's just talk about our recent experiences of loss. And how, because effectively what we wanted to say, I feel like we needed to have that backstory though, to be able to say what we're now going to say, so that you guys don't think that we're being, like, not like brushing it aside, taking this lightly, not being
positivity.
And we've experienced it. So last week, it was my loss first, wasn't it? Like, I found out that my cousin passed away. She was young. She was only 10 years older than me. I'm very close to her when I was a child. Didn't see her as much as an adult, but she means a lot to me. Now, she's the daughter of my auntie, who was like my second mum, my best friend, who I lost 2 years after my mum. And it's important to note that my auntie, when I lost her in 2022, I was obviously well into my spiritual journey, had a lot of these beliefs solidified, and my experience of grief with her was very different to my experience with my mum. Not because the loss was any less, but because I believed what I believed. And that was such a stark difference for me, where I really saw, wow, gosh, isn't grief different when you have this belief than when you don't? I saw that without a doubt, because my auntie, I spent more time with, I saw my auntie actually more than I saw my mum. We had a very special relationship from the minute I was born. So she was a huge, huge loss to me so soon after my mum as well, 2 years after my mum, almost to the month. And so it wasn't like it was just that, oh, I've just lost my auntie, like some distant. She was a huge part. You know that. Everyone that knows me knows that as well. And it was horrible and it was painful, but God, was the grief easier, because I knew how to process it. I also knew that I could speak to her. She was around me. I didn't feel like I had lost her. And this is like really important thing. And this is what so then fast forward, 3 years later? 3 years later, 4 years later. 3 years later, her daughter, then I lose her daughter, who she lived with us when we were kids multiple times. She looked after me when I was a baby. She was a big part of my childhood. Actually, she was the one, when I think about it now, made spirituality a lot into my awareness as well, because she was into all of that, and I was just with her all the time. And so I would, hear things, pick up things. She had a massive part to do with this as well. And again, I saw with her loss, I saw how, moving on from that many years, how different it was again, how different I saw it than my mum, and then my auntie Jane, her mum. it's progressing, it's getting, but what I want to say is that the grief and the feelings of loss don't get any easier.
No.
You absolutely still experience those emotions. That heaviness in your chest, because we are lost them on a human level. We still have lost. It doesn't matter what you do. We've lost them. We love them. We're going to feel the grief. That is all the same. That all stays the same. I felt that. But what I also did straight away was smile. I had an absolute comfort that I knew that my cousin Keisha is with my mum, is with her mum, is with my nan, who we lost, and she was very close to. Well, we lost when I was 10. I just felt so happy for her.
Yeah.
Because the grief that I feel now is purely for me.
Yes.
You know, I'm sad for the loss of the person as well. Like it's especially when people are young. But again, with this belief that I have, where we all choose, we have a purpose, we have a mission, our soul is ultimately in control and can pull us out at any time. Like I'm like, but it was part of it was her choice, really, on a soul level. It was part of the plan that for some reason she was not supposed to be here anymore. So I don't even have that kind of, you know, a lot of people go, oh, what a waste of life, or that's such a shame, or, you know, oh, she could have, you know, she had such a sad life, or he had such a sad life, and all the things that are like, you could, but I'm just like, it was time. It was her time, his time. They chose. There's a reason for this. And ultimately, they are okay. They're more than okay. And they're looking up. Now I've got like another team member up in, you know, out in spirit, whatever you want to say, that's looking out for me, that I can talk to, and that I can absolutely communicate with. And I will be with them one day.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for them being together. And sometimes I feel a little bit sad for me, because I'm like,
jealous.
I'm a bit jealous. But I'm also like, no, because again, not having that fear of death, I'm like, I'm living here for as long as I'm living here. I might have a week left. I might have another 40 years left. I have no idea, but I'm not about to get upset about it. Especially important to say in these kind of times that we're living in, where everyone's kind of scared and it's all a bit, oh, what's going on with the world, and doom and gloom, and in the spiritual circles there's a lot going around of like, oh, there's gonna, you know, the world's gonna end in spiritual terms, floods and all the stuff. And I'm like, maybe, maybe not. I'm gonna just live my life now, because if that does happen, I'm going with them. I'm off with them. They're waiting for me. My animals are waiting for me. Like, they're all going to be there waiting for me. Yay, amazing. I'm going to remember who I am. I'm going to forget all of this, like, stuff that we make everything mean about ourselves and the difficulties, and I'm going somewhere great. But I also now appreciate life being great as well, in a different way. But that understanding has given me like this, oh yeah, life's awesome here. Let's make the most of it. So yeah, I suppose that's what I just kind of wanted to say when I had, you know, got news of this loss this time. It was a very, very different experience. I was talking to her immediately. Actually, I was talking to her before she actually passed away, because I truly believe as well that, especially in those last stages where you're unconscious, her soul's already out and about. And I can talk to her. I had a dream about her a couple of days before I found out she was going to die. So I kind of had an idea. But I don't like to focus on them, that kind of stuff too much either, because that can bring fear and you don't know. So I think that she was probably, we were chatting in like the dream state, you know. I did a lot of like that kind of work when I was asleep. I'm very aware of that. But like I said, I haven't completely lost her. That's the difference. When you have this belief, there's not that ultimate loss you feel. So you feel loss on a human level, on a personal level. I'm not going to be able to, you know, you look at their text message, the last one you sent them, you're like, I'm never going to be able to text them again. You know, they're not sat in the place that I know they would usually be sat in. You know, you start thinking of all the stuff that you did with them that you'll never do again. You start having memories and flashbacks of all the things, right? That's a loss on a human level. You're always going to feel that. And it's important. And again, from what I said before, it's important to feel it and not hide it. And allow yourself to process it, because the quicker you do that, the more you'll uncover the love that was there. And like I said, you can then look at them and think about them with a, I've helped lots of clients do this as well. So I'm not just talking about I've done this for myself. I've helped clients actively. They've come and seen me for this. So I know you can do it. You've got to be ready.
Yeah.
I couldn't, if someone, you know, came and just said, no, I don't want to believe any of it, I'm not even looking into it, then I can't help you in that way. I have helped clients who have got that view as well, and I've helped them process it in a different way and understand it in a different way. But when you're open to believing this, seeing the world like this, it's this whole nother level of acceptance. And it's not just acceptance, it's you can feel joy and you can feel love. And you know, I shared on my Instagram stories, I'm not going to go into the story now, but I shared on my Instagram stories the day that my cousin died. I asked her to let me know that she was with my mum, and I got an absolute communication from her in the best possible way, in the most, because they work on, it's fun, they work on so many levels. And it was, I sat there as I got it, and I just smiled. I went to bed, because I was in bed when I got it, and I went to sleep with a huge smile on my face, knowing that they were together, and so grateful that she could give it to me so quickly. And it's just incredible when you can do that, because I still felt that heavy loss for her that day, and yet I went to sleep with the absolute opposite feeling as well. And then don't get me wrong, that loss and that grief comes back in again, but I feel it, process it, allow my human to have it. And then always, when you've got that thing in the background that goes, but she's right there, like I'm literally, I can talk to her and she's right there, just can't see her, and she can communicate with me, and like, it's just learning another language. You can absolutely speak to your loved ones. It's not how you always think. It's not how, you know, people who have got mediumship capabilities or psychic capabilities necessarily get it, because that's how we think that's the only way you can communicate with them. So absolutely not. Just be open to it, and they will do it for you. They're so clever. They're working on a level outside of time,
and it's like they know you better than you do. In their ways that they get these messages to you, don't they? They know what to do.
They mean something.
They do.
So so that was my loss. And then a couple of days later,
we lost our bunny, but it was wonderful. But it was, I'm still obviously so sad about it. But again, when you were talking about being in that present moment, that's like when Ian found him in his bunny room. Something takes over, doesn't it? Because you go into action, and I wasn't processing it. I was just, right, there's this, where's Nicole? Where's my daughter? Like, keep her away. Where's the kids? Let's just deal with this. You know, that takes over you, doesn't it? And then it seeps in, then the loss seeps in, what's actually happened. And like we said, the feeling is the same feeling that you've had before when you've lost someone or a pet or whatever. But I was able to keep coming back to. So it's almost like it's a tool, isn't it? To don't go, pardon the pun, down the rabbit hole. When you said earlier about rabbiting on, I'm like, he's here. Oh, he was like, I'll be like getting all these little messages. You can pull yourself out, so you can go there, but you can come out. And it just is such a great tool. So you don't stay there, and you come back and focus on all the love. That I wouldn't have done that before. I would have just gone to, this is so sad. I'm so sad for Nikki. It was her birthday. You know, she had a bad birthday last year. Her dad had an operation and she was crying. And now this birthday, a rabbit's just died out of the blue. He wasn't ill, total shock.
He was young, wasn't he?
He was a year and a half. You know, he was acting normal, eating, drinking, everything. We see him every day, 5 times a day. We sit in there with him for hours. You know, I know they hide it. Apparently, I've read that bunnies do hide when they're ill. But I've had bunnies before, and we know, you know, his eyes weren't weeping. There was nothing. So total shock. But before, that's what I would have done. Like, oh, poor Nikki, another birthday ruined. Her rabbit's dead. We're never going to be able to see him again and do the things that we do every single day. Such a huge part of our life. And that I would have just dum all the way down.
Yeah.
But then there were these glimmers that I was allowing in because of my awareness now to all the things we've learned. And I was able to go, hang on, zoom out. What's he doing for us even in this moment that I'm so sad? It's like the next day, we've just dug the hole in the garden for him. And I've come in and I can hear Harry and Nick, the kids, upstairs with the door shut, laughing because Harry hasn't left his sister's side since it happened. And he's playing a game. Now, this hasn't happened for years. They've got loads of bridges to build. And it's like, all I would have thought before was, oh, thanks, Harry. Thanks for, he's really trying to keep her distracted.
Yeah.
But I stopped and I said, thanks to Joey, our bunny, because I could see that that was a direct cause of that such a sad thing happening. It had brought them together so much so that she's actually having a giggle and they're laughing together that they haven't done for years, and it's just having that awareness, isn't it? And then
Perspective shift.
yeah. And then boom, the sadness hits you again. Then you've got to put him in this hole and, it's you're riding the wave, but you're riding the wave.
Yes.
And like I could say that to Nikki, like we're just riding the wave because she's like, is this ever going to go away? She's being sick for 2 days, physically sick. This isn't just, and like when I lost my bunnies when I was a little girl, I was sad.
Yeah.
She's another level, right? And, we've been physically sick for days. She hasn't left my side. She's been in our bed, but I can explain to her now, this is just a wave that we're riding. And obviously I can point out all the things he's doing. And again, like you said with Keisha, the signs he's sending that I no way would I've caught onto before.
Yeah.
So it's shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's horrible. But it definitely fast tracks you as well into turning that grief, like you said, into love, because it's your brain, isn't it? Your brain is programming. It has now programmed itself to say, but wait, this is because this is the love.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like you said, it comes in that that they're in this amazing place. And I've had signs to say he's there. And so thank you. He's been working really hard. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's so funny.
But it's just a very different experience, isn't it? And just as heavy, just as sad. But it's a way to pull yourself out the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Don't keep going down there.
Yes.
Because that's when you get into trouble, isn't it? And then the victimhood comes in.
Yeah.
Why us? Oh, we've just lost, so and so. 2 bad birthdays. Oh, it's always us. That you can see how you get to that, and you should absolutely feel bad for yourself and sad, but you don't want to go all the way down to the bottom of that pit, do you?
No, because it doesn't get it, and we're not saying it's wrong.
No,
you
can only do what you can do, isn't it?
It's just about understanding that it doesn't have to be that way, and that could be, again, I can hear lots of voices saying, yeah, but for this reason and for that reason and for that reason that I'm different and it is going to be harder for me and you don't understand and all the voices, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
but it's always, as with everything, you always have a choice of how you experience what you're going through.
Yeah.
And that it can be through a lens of suffering and pain, or through a lens of, I'm not a victim, I'm in control, and I'm going to choose to change my perspective to curate it and help me live a life that feels nice, not heavy. And you can choose both, and often it doesn't feel like a choice, but you do have a choice.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, we've experienced it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a lot of loss in the last 5 years. And when people found out about Keisha, I just got so many messages saying, your poor family, you've been through so much, another one. And yes, it is true. But even now, like, I don't I don't feel like poor me. I don't feel like, oh, why is all of this? Why, you know, because I'm just like, it is what it is. There's a reason. There's a higher choice. And again, this comes from everything that I've like doing my work, everything I've explored. You know, I truly do believe that we have ultimate choice of when we pull our soul out. I believe I saw that with my mum. Before I had any knowledge of all the stuff that I have now, I had an intuitive knowing that she was like, nothing's going to be changing here on this earth. Yeah, I'm going to pull out and I can help people much better from, you know, from the other side. I also think that a lot of the time we have these deaths, these huge losses, chosen and contracted in our life because I truly believe that my mum part of our contract. And obviously there's so much going on. It's not just about me. It's always about you, right? We're the main character in our show, but we're connected to everybody. So there's always so many different things going on. But I believe that one of my contracts with my mum was that she was going to leave at that time to spark off what I'm doing now. Yeah. And where I'm going to go from here. Absolutely. Because I would not be here without that happening to me. I cannot see how. Maybe I would, but it would have taken a long time. I don't know, but I truly do see that I would have carried on a certain way in my life, and it would have not been good, and it would have not been what my soul chose. So I do believe that mum was a contract that she was always going to leave, and when you believe that as well, it makes things easier because even for the future, because I'm thinking now, you know, and my human part of me is going, who's next? Like my sister literally said to me, I seem to be always the bearer of bad news, the one that has to tell people for some reason. But she was like, when I saw you call me, I just knew. I knew something. She was like, I thought it was going to be Dad. And both of us just said our human, not my human, like not my sister doesn't necessarily see the world the way I do, but my human is going, who's next? Who am I bracing for next? But my higher perspective is going, whatever is meant to be, it's meant to be. You know, like it will be for a reason. And you can bet your boots I will try my hardest to take the positive out of it. Already, like I will say that now, like whatever happens, whatever loss I have, I will be in it to take the positive, to take the learning and the growth and the lessons, and to actively shift my perspective to one that helps me continue living a life of joy despite the loss. And like I said, that I know 100%, I've had experienced enough loss. I know what it's going to feel like now. I know what it feels like to have grief and work through grief. I know that the pain does get easier. I know that I can take it. I can know that I can handle it. So I have that as well. There's something that comes from experience a lot of loss, particularly in a short space of time. You build up resilience to it and an acceptance of it as well. And that's not to say that the next loss I have isn't going to hit me as hard as any of the other ones. That's right. And obviously, you know, it depends on the how close people are. Like you mentioned, you know, it's how much they are in your life. It's how much they're part of your everyday life. It's part of the connection that you have with people. You are going to feel some
Is your life going to change?
You're going to feel some harder than others. You are. But again, it's just understanding, having that thing that you said you can keep going back to say, I'm gonna anchor. This is my anchor. They're still there. I can speak to them whenever they want. I'm open to hearing them.
And that's amazing, isn't it? The relationship doesn't end. If you don't want it to, it can continue.
It's different.
And there's people that I've heard speaking as well that, you know, their relationship on earth maybe wasn't great, but in, you know, when they've gone to the next dimension, they've got like this wonderful relationship. And again, like you say, maybe it's not real. Maybe it, you know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if it feels real, how amazing. Talk to them.
Yes.
Keep it going. Like picture them.
Absolutely.
You know, like when you were talking and I can see like, you know, Bunny's just sitting here, you know, on the arm of my chair, and I see Keisha just like flying around, messing with all the locks, you know, like she was in your house. You know, and well, what about what what a lovely world to live in. And then they're not gone, are they? Because that's another part of the sadness is, well, now they're just gone.
Yes.
Well, they're not,
No.
are they? Not if you continue to talk to them. And they will send you messages. You want the proof, talk to them.
You'll feel it's not just oh, that's funny, that's a coincidence. Feel it.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to do the processing work.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to connect into that love, because love is an ultimate connector. It really is. It definitely connects you. When I'm in love, when I was feeling that heavy grief, I wasn't feeling the connection with my mum. I was feeling my own pain.
Right.
Which is very important.
Needed to do.
Absolutely needed to do.
But you don't want to say that.
No. And by releasing that heavy, dense grief, pain, it was uncovering more of the love. And when I was in that love, that's when I felt directly connected to her. Like I could feel her voice. I could feel her talking to me. I could feel her as if she was stood right there. And I believe that's because I was feeling that. And then you get all the signs and stuff as well. But again, if you're in really deep grief and you don't allow yourself to come up for air sometimes, you will miss all the signs that they're sending to you, which will give you that love. It will give you that comfort, and it will actually help you come out of your grief even more. And I want to go back to what you said as well, of, like talking to them and they're still there. They can help you with your healing. I'm constantly talking to my ladies, several ladies up there, that I've lost. And I'm like, help me do this, because a lot of us are obviously, like we've said, we're here to break the generational cycles. I'm like, I've got some serious ancestral healing to do. All the female women in my female line die early. They die young. Right. And I'm like, I am breaking that cycle for me, and I'm breaking that cycle for my daughter. And also I want to help do that for my sister and her daughter as well. Like I'm not just doing it for me, I'm doing it for all of us, but I know they can help me. So I'm now employing their help. I'm like, what can you do over there? What can you see now that you did in your lives that I've got to break, I've got to cut out? Help me, please. And they do. They help. They do. So I'm like, well, this is only a good, this is only a good thing. And again, it can become magical. It feels really odd to say grief and loss can actually become magical and feel joy-filled and very love-filled. And you are not going to hear that if you are in the deep stages of grief listening to this. You're not. But hold on to it. Please hold on to it, because I'm talking from a place where I've come out of it. And it's so real to me. I mean, it actually doesn't feel weird to me anymore. It did used to feel weird to say, oh, so much great things have come from grief. Right. That did feel uncomfortable. I was like, well, I didn't even want to say it out loud because I felt bad. Right. But now I can sit here and it is. And I can't see it any other way. It would be like me. If I didn't say it, it'd be like me lying almost, or like trying to convince you that the sky's purple. Yeah. It just doesn't. It's not right. It doesn't feel right. But it's taken a journey. It's taken a lot of loss. Yeah. It's taken a lot of strength and courage and resilience. But it's so worth it, and it's so available. Yeah. And also, just quickly before we leave, I also want to say, don't judge grief, or don't allow anyone else to judge your grief or your loss. All grief is exactly the same, whether it's a bunny, a person, loss of identity, loss of a marriage, relationship, whatever. Yeah. All grief, all loss is personal to you. Yeah. It is absolutely personal to you. Do not allow yourself to be affected by anyone's judgment. Yeah. Do not allow yourself to judge your own grief and say, well, I shouldn't be feeling this because this is just a dog, or I shouldn't be feeling this because blah, 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 whatever reasons. The most important thing is that you accept that your grief is your grief, and you process it as such. So important. Yeah, that's really, really, really important. Just to say. That's it. Perfect. Whew. I didn't think this was going to be a long one, but it's been 1 hour and 10 minutes. But there we go. I hope this has helped somebody. Yes. Because when I shared that Instagram post about my loss and I shared the story, go find it on my Natasha B Hypnotherapy Instagram. When I shared the story about that, so many people messaged me, and there were so many synchronicities that occurred from that for other people because I put that video out. Awesome. So I hope that this podcast episode does the same thing, and it finds the right person whenever it's relevant to you. So, yeah, we really hope that this helps.
We do.
That's it then.
Bye.
It's a weird ending.
It's a bit like,
See ya. And we'll leave it there. Bye, guys.